Okay, today is August the 29th, 2019, and right now at 9:20 p.m. we have a temperature of 76 degrees here in the foothills of Los Angeles. The relative humidity is 62%. The dew point is up at 62 degrees right now currently, and the barometric pressure is down slightly to 29.93. We had 29.96 this morning. So the pressure's down here in the Southern California area. Now, a quick look at this map before we get to Hurricane Dorian, which is strengthened. This is a gale force system, a very large gale force weather system, and it's running into some high pressure. This is installed high pressure, obviously. We can see that happening there. And now, last night on the ocean prediction, the surface analysis map for the Pacific, we noticed that there was an arrow pointing down to the southeast on this weather system. But here tonight we see it's going to be stalled by this area of high pressure right here off of the west coast, which has a 1,020 millibar high centered right about here. And that is going to block this weather system. So we've got two lows actually that comprise that system. We can see the purple occluded front. That's evidence of weather manipulation. The purple occluded front is actually warm air overtaking cooler air, which should never be happening in a vortex. So getting back to the map here, the western U.S. water vapor loop, we see exactly what's happening. We've got two lows here, and we have a satellite transmitter manipulating the area, creating a blockade. We can see the evaporation of the water vapor as it tries to move into that vortex. And of course, the high pressure here is going to stall and redirect this system away from California. This should bring a lot of rain to the west coast. We've got developing thunderstorms over Mexico, northern Mexico, and also over Nebraska and Kansas. If we look at the Doppler radar, we can see that right here. There's some thunderstorms right over the area there. Not much going on down here off of Florida right at the moment. Nothing in California, of course, and some smattering of rain down here in Oregon and New Mexico, the southern areas there. So there it is. All right, so we've got the high pressure. Now we've got a forecast for a lot of humidity and for over the weekend, the long weekend coming up. And as we have the high pressure installed, that's going to create clockwise rotation, which is going to wind, like it or not, a lot of this moisture up into the southwest, the southern part of California. So we've got a forecast for hot, humid weather, and that's happening because the high pressure, which is descending air, which is going to create clockwise rotation, is being installed to block this. So we should be having cool, rainy weather moving in, but instead we've got the weather controllers are installing high pressure, and that will wind a lot of this moisture into California on that clockwise rotation. So there it is. We'll see what happens. All right, let's get over to the maps here real quick. This is the sea surface temperature map. We see that we have 29 degrees C right down here where this hurricane, which is now right around here, which is now a category 2, I believe. We'll take a look. But this thing sat around down here for many days with a 10-20% chance of hurricane formation, and it just slowly creeped along. And notice that here's the 29 degrees C line right here. So all the water above this area, above this line, is all 29 degrees pretty much, except for these very red areas like south of Cuba here. That is right down in the, let's go ahead and scroll down here. We can see the grid here. We can see this chart, and we see that the bright red is right around 30 to 31 degrees, 32 degrees. So if we convert that to Fahrenheit, just for example, 31 degrees C is 87.8 degrees. The 29 degree line right here is 84.2 degrees right along there. So we're getting an idea of what the temperatures are, the water temperature. All this area is very warm. It's between 84 and 87 degrees. Now we see some pretty good red here, but we watched tropical depression Erin being blown apart. Let's go and take a look at that map. This is yesterday's map. Once again, we see Erin over here. This is now a post-tropical depression. Yesterday it was a tropical depression. We can see the blast pattern. This thing was being targeted by a satellite transmitter. We can see the hole it opens up, the tremendous amount of diminishment. There's a lot of deep water vapor in this thing before it was targeted. We can see that very deep wine red color right there, which fades to a very mostly a yellow and green. So this thing is being targeted, and this hurricane was still down over here yesterday. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map today. This is the water vapor, the upper level water vapor map for today. Now this was captured about almost 3 hours ago, 2.5, 3 hours ago. We can see that this is the long wave infrared map. We see this hurricane right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the, see if we can find the map for the National Hurricane Center, which is right here. Here is a picture of where the hurricane is. We've got just south of 25 degrees north right here. And we have 105 mile per hour winds. So 105 mile per hour winds is it's a category 2. If it goes past 110, then we're moving into category 3. So we've got the temperature, or rather the pressure, has dropped substantially. So we're at 977 millibar. Earlier today, this was about 986 millibar. And last night, or rather yesterday morning, it was 997. So it's dropped quite a bit. And of course, the fake news media, the way they're reporting this weather system, the fix is in. As far as I'm concerned, I would get the hell out of Florida. If you look at the cone trek, it looks now that they're going to steer this thing to the little bit further south than yesterday's predictions. So this is right getting into the area of Hollywood, Florida, possibly West Palm Beach, and the Miami area all could be hit, and of course every area north of there. And of course we saw what happened to Erin. That was blown apart, superheated with a satellite transmitter, either laser or microwave. And that system is no longer a threat. Let's go ahead and look at today's map. Once again, we can see the remnants of Erin drifting away to the north, up towards the northeast there. And here is Dorian. Now, as we look at Dorian, we see that some interesting things. We see some strange evaporation patterns occurring right here along the northern edge. Take a look at this. And we also have some flat spots down here on the center of this storm. Very interesting. The storm is being targeted. They're putting on a show. We see some icicle patterns right here on that system. That's Hurricane Dorian right there. And we see the blast patterns. But the interesting thing is we're seeing flat spots right here. As the loop progresses, we can see, and watch what happens again up here. The strange evaporation pattern. And we see a dark area right here, right there. This dark area, which is effectively steering this storm. Now the interesting thing is if we look at the next map here, this is the water vapor map. This is all GOES 16 material, by the way. This is the GOES 16 upper level water vapor map, and we can see some interesting detail here. We also have right here a counterclockwise rotating air mass just adjacent to this hurricane right here. So we've got what appears to be some low pressure right adjacent to that hurricane. And we can see some moisture, some condensation right in the middle of this separate counterclockwise spinning air mass right there. see the condensation as it moves in towards the vortex. Now in this view, we can see just an eye wall that just stays there just for a brief second, a brief moment there. So the storm is being targeted, but it seems that they're not using sufficient power. Now here is the mid-level water vapor. We see some interesting detail here. The yellow is the high pressure. We can see over here over California we've got constant high pressure, which is blocking all the weather systems off the Pacific up here. So the yellow is high pressure. Notice the high pressure up in this area, and right on top of this area here, we've got high pressure, higher pressure down here, and we see these flat spots, the strange evaporation patterns along this system. So this system, in my opinion, is being steered. And we know that the fix is in because the fake news mainstream media networks, the fake news network, is calling this one of the strongest storms that we're ever going to see. Category 4, possibly a very powerful Category 4, which may strike Florida. So we're going to keep a close eye on this. But here in this view, this is the upper level water vapor, or rather this is the infrared map. This is band number 14, the long wave infrared. And we see some very interesting detail. And so the storms are steered by installing high pressure here and here. They can up the pressure to get this to scoot it up a little bit further, and then they steer it by channeling the high pressure. And that's where we're getting these straight edges, these strange evaporation patterns. Look at this. This is amazing. All right. Okay, so out on the west coast, we can see a huge system out just due west of the Hawaiian Islands. This is way out on the international dateline. This is 180 degrees right here. But look what's happening here. This is a gigantic weather system, much bigger than the hurricane over there in the Atlantic. And look at this. This is being squashed. This is being targeted, superheated. We can see the icicle pattern. Look at that. And look at the color change. This is spinning in a clockwise rotation. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's a very large weather system. There's nothing marked in the Central Pacific on the National Hurricane Center map. But here, once again, this is what the winter cycle looks like most of the time back in the, between about 2011 and 2016. Where storm after, weather system after weather system would come down and bounce right off of this stationary installed area of high pressure. Look at this. This is just really about as obvious as it gets. This circular area of high pressure, which is blocking everything down here and blocking everything from coming in out over here. And we had a lot of rain this last winter. That's all good. A lot of the reservoirs down in near Las Vegas are still very low because of the weather manipulation out over the southwest, the aerosol spraying, and the satellite transmitters. Now, the one thing I want to get to very quickly is as we look at this system approach the west coast, or rather the east coast, those ground-based Dopplers, those NEXRAD WSR88Ds, we're going to see what's really going to be happening with the weather controllers, if they're going to stop this thing or if they're just going to let it move in. Be able to see everything that's happening. So we'll keep a good eye on this and do another update real soon. That's it.